Welcome in, everyone, to Spiritual Roots Podcast with me, Misty. I hope you're all doing well today. Thank you so much for being here. I greatly appreciate it. I have an update for the show. If you don't follow me on the socials, totally cool. I am going to be taking the month of February off. I'm going to come back for season 2 in March. I'm getting ready for springtime. I'm just starting to plant those seeds, metaphorical seeds, starting to let them grow. I'm just really excited for the podcast to grow, and I want to come back refreshed and renewed. I can't believe it's been almost 6 months already. Started back in September, been going strong, and I have all of you to thank for that. So thank you so much for sharing, for commenting, for sending me private messages, saying how much you love the show. Even if it's just one episode that you've connected with, I appreciate all of it. Thank you so much. And just please keep sharing the show, and this will give you an opportunity to catch up if you're just, hopping on the train of Spiritual Roots. And I'm really excited. I'm excited to do this episode today. It is going to be all about forest bathing. If any of you remember my episode with Amanda from Wild Willow Farm, we briefly spoke about forest bathing, and when we were talking about that, in the back of my mind, it's been sticking with me. I really want to do an episode about that. And yesterday, I actually got to go to a beautiful event at the farm. It was held by One Tree Wellness. Beth and Amanda hosted at the farm. There was a sound bath. It was called A Day with Spirit, and it was a few hours long, and it was just beautiful. If you are local to New Hampshire, even Vermont, she's out of Franklin, New Hampshire, I highly recommend giving Wild Willow Farm a follow, or just go check out the Facebook page. She always has events going on with local businesses, local practitioners, and just a lot of great things going on at the farm. And I had a great day yesterday. I even had a surprise friend that was there. That's part of our Gaia group. I was so grateful to see her. So she and I got to experience that together. It was wonderful. So that was the big update. Taking February off, be back in March for spring, fresh and renewed, with some fresh voices on, and I'm just really excited for that. So again, thank you all so much. I really appreciate all of you for season 1. This has been such a ride, and I'm still learning every single day, but I just love doing this. Let's get into today's episode, and today we're going to be talking about forest bathing. In a world that moves fast, hums with screens, and constantly demands our attention, many of us feel disconnected from our bodies, our breath, our intuition, and from the living earth beneath our feet. We rush from obligation to obligation, often forgetting that we are not separate from nature. We are nature. Forest bathing invites us to slow down, soften our nervous system, and step back into relationship with the living world. Despite the name, forest bathing doesn't involve water. Instead, it is the practice of fully immersing yourself in the atmosphere of the forest using all your senses, breathing in the scent of trees, listening to the wind in the leaves, feeling the texture of bark, noticing the shifting light, and allowing your nervous system to gently recalibrate. It is less about hiking, exercise, or reaching a destination, and more about presence, reverence, and receiving. This practice reminds us that healing does not always require effort. Sometimes it simply requires remembering how to be still with the earth. Forest bathing originates in Japan, where it was known as Shinrin-yoku, which translates to taking in the forest atmosphere or forest bathing. The term was officially introduced in the early 1980s by Japan's Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries as a public health initiative. At the time, Japan was facing rising stress levels, burnout, and technology overload as urban life accelerated. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Government researchers and physicians began studying how time spent in forests affected the body and mind. What they discovered was remarkable. Participants who spent time walking slowly in forest environments showed lower stress hormones, reduced blood pressure, improved immune function, increased feelings of calm and well-being. And forest bathing soon became part of a preventative health care in Japan. Today, Japan has designated forest therapy trails, guided programs, and medical research institutions dedicated entirely to studying the healing effects of nature immersion. We do have, I think, a group here in New Hampshire. I saw them on New Hampshire Chronicle once. Any locals will know that show. If I can find it, I will post it in the show notes. While Shinrin Yoku has modern scientific roots, the wisdom itself is ancient. In cultures around the world have always recognized forests as sacred teachers, healing spaces, and spiritual allies. Trees were viewed as elders, guardians, and bridges between worlds, their roots reaching into the underworld where their branches touched the sky. Forest bathing simply gives modern language to something our ancestors instinctively understood. The forest heals when we listen. One of the most fascinating aspects of forest bathing is the role of phytoncides. Phytoncides are natural aromatic compounds released by trees and plants to protect themselves from insects, fungi, and disease. When humans inhale these compounds, they interact with our nervous system and immune response in powerful ways. Research shows that phytoncides increase natural killer cells, or NK, which help fight infection and inflammation, reduce cortisol, the primary stress hormone, improve sleep quality, support cardiovascular health, and calm the sympathetic nervous system, the fight-or-flight response. Forests also naturally regulate oxygen levels, negative ions, humidity, and light exposure, creating an environment that gently supports nervous system regulation. Even the colors of the forest, layered greens, earthy browns, filtered sunlight, signal safety and restoration to the brain. Our nervous systems evolved in natural landscapes, not fluorescent lighting and constant digital input. When we enter the forest slowly and intentionally, our bodies remember how to exhale. Forest bathing supports the body in both subtle and measurable ways. Immune support system. Spending time in forest increases the activity of immune cells that help protect against illness and chronic inflammation. These benefits can last for days after a single forest visit. They can lower blood pressure and heart health. Gentle walking, the fresh air, and nervous system regulation support healthy blood pressure, heart rate variability, and circulation. It can reduce inflammation from chronic stress contributing to inflammation in the body. Forest exposure helps reduce stress hormones and supports overall cellular balance. It can improve sleep by using the natural light exposure and circadian rhythm regulation, improves sleep quality and duration. Respiratory health. By breathing in clean air, the forest air can improve lung function and oxygen efficiency, especially compared to urban environments. The forest works quietly without force, like a slow medicine rather than a quick fix. And that is so true. I love the fresh air. You really can't beat it, especially in the winter time. Oh man. I really admire people who go out into the woods, like actual people that are hardcore hikers and go out hiking up mountains in the wintertime. I would love that. I just am physically not able to do that. But in my mind, it just looks absolutely amazing and stunning. So quiet, so peaceful. The smell of the pine trees. Oh, I just love being outside. I adore it. Forest bathing doesn't just heal the body, it nourishes the psyche and the soul. It can reduce anxiety and depression. Nature immersion lowers cortisol levels and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, creating feelings of calm, safety, and emotional grounding. If any of you have ever read The Body Keeps the Score, the author really goes into that, the parasympathetic and the sympathetic, I believe they're called. It also helps with mental clarity and focus. Time in nature restores attention fatigue caused by screens and constant stimulation. Many people experience improved clarity, creativity, and problem solving after forest time. It also can help emotionally regulate you. The steady rhythms of the forest, the wind, the bird song, the rushing leaves gently regulate the nervous system, helping stabilize mood and emotional reactivity. When I go for walks, because I live on a back road in the fall, some of the oak leaves will be on the trees, and when the wind blows through, I always am like, thank you for clapping for me, because it sounds like a bunch of little claps when they're going through the wind. I know that's corny, but it's so funny. It just makes me chuckle. It can help with spiritual connection. Many people experience a renewed sense of wonder, belonging, and sacred connection while practicing forest bathing. It invites intuitive listening, inner reflection, and presence. And that is tough sometimes, isn't it? Being present. That was a huge topic yesterday at the event, A Day with Spirit. The forest doesn't rush you. It invites you to arrive. You're here. Take a look around. Sit down for a minute. Find a rock, a stump. Observe. Some sacred trees and their energetic qualities. In forest bathing, certain trees carry unique energetic and symbolic medicine. Spending intentional time with different trees deepens the experience. Oak, for strength and ancestral wisdom. Oak trees symbolize endurance, protection, leadership, and rooted power. Sitting with oak can support grounding, confidence, and resilience. Oak invites you to remember your inner strength and ancestral lineage. That's wild, the oak leaves. They're clapping for you, everybody. Birch, for renewal and beginnings. Birch represents purification, fresh starts, and gentle resilience. Its bright bark reflects light even in dark forests. Birch supports emotional release, clarity, and new cycles. Pine for vitality and breath. Pine trees are rich in phytoncides and carry strong respiratory and immune support. Pine energy feels cleansing, expansive, and invigorating. Excellent for clarity, grief release, and mental refresh. Cedar for protection and sacred space. Cedar has long been used in spiritual traditions for cleansing and blessing. Its grounding scent supports emotional safety, boundary healing, and spiritual protection. Willow for emotional healing and flow. Willow grows near water and symbolizes intuition, emotional processing, and adaptability. Sitting with willow supports grief work, emotional release, and creative flow. Maple for balance and sweetness. Maple represents harmony, nourishment, and balanced energy exchange. Maple supports heart-centered reflection and emotional steadiness. If you go out into the woods, I encourage you to just pick a tree intuitively. If you're interested in forest bathing, just go, find a tree or sit by a tree that you feel called to. And if you don't know what it is, take your time and then look it up after and see if it aligns with why you were there in the first place. Or even if you were just on a random walk and you're called to this tree and you just sit with it, and this wasn't your intention to go out and do forest bathing in the first place. You were just on a general walk enjoying nature, and you're called to a tree. See what that says. What's that message for you? Some ways to practice forest bathing. It's very, very simple. You just slow down. You walk slowly or sit. Release the urge to do anything. Right? You just be present. That's the starting point. Engage your senses. Notice scents, textures, sounds, temperature, colors, light patterns. Breathe deeply. Allow slow, intentional breathing. Maybe do a breathing exercise while you're out there. If you're into doing breath work, that would be sitting in a patch of pines. Oh, that would be beautiful. Touch with respect. Place a hand on bark, leaves, or moss if appropriate. Listen internally. Notice emotions, memories, intuition, body sensations, and stay present. Let thoughts pass without attaching. Even 20 minutes can be deeply restorative. It could be 30 minutes. It could be 10 minutes, whatever time you have to take for yourself and just sit with the forest, sit with the tree. Even if you're in an urban area, I'm sure that there's somewhere that you could go where there's green grass and a tree nearby. A park would be perfect also. I'm going to leave you all with this reflection. Forest bathing reminds us that healing is not something we must chase. It's something we can receive when we soften into relationship with the living world. The trees are not separate from us. They breathe with us. They regulate the air we inhale. They hold the stories of centuries in their rings. They remind us to be still, resilient, patient, and rooted while reaching toward light. When we talk among them slowly and intentionally, we are not escaping life. We are returning to it. And that is what I'm going to leave you all with this. End of season 1. I hope that you get something from this episode. And I'm leaving it in January because when February comes, we're all starting to itch to get outside. But those first signs of spring start to come in February. Those first spring flowers start to pop up. The crocus. Those are such a welcome sight, aren't they? And then March is coming. Here in New England, we have a 5th season, unofficially, called mud season. And if any of you ever lived here, you would know that it is officially a season in New England. But to the rest of everyone, it is not. But it is when spring comes, that thaw happens, and we have mud everywhere. And it can be a nightmare sometimes. And I wanted to leave this with us so that we can maybe focus on something that we would like to try that's brand new. It gets us outside, even in the early months of spring. You could still go out and walk and enjoy the forest. You could even do it now in the wintertime. But I wanted to encourage some first steps to planting some seeds, maybe do some healing, or maybe just practicing presence and getting back to yourself, or just being with nature more if that is something that you intended on doing. And if you've never heard of forest bathing, I just wanted to introduce it to folks. There's a lot of books out there. You could read about it. You could look it up online. There's a ton of things that you could look into. And like I always say, I encourage folks to do their own research. I just introduce you to things. And I really want you to just get out and breathe in that fresh air. And I think I heard yesterday, if my fact is correct, that we detox 70% of our toxins in our body through our lungs. And that hit me. And I've heard that before, but yesterday it just sat with me for some reason. Maybe because I was being present and actually listening. But that's a huge amount of toxicity that comes out of our bodies. It's just straight out of our lungs. So if the trees, like I said with Amanda, they give us our oxygen and we give them the carbon dioxide that comes from us. So it's always that give and take. And I just find that so beautiful, and that's why I wanted to do this episode. So I'm going to stop babbling, everybody. Thank you so much for a great season 1. I am grateful for all of you. So, so grateful. I really hope this comes through with my voice because my hand is on my heart, my eyes are closed, and I'm just putting the gratitude out into the universe. And I hope you all have a great February. Happy Imbolc if you practice Wheel of the Year. And I will see you all in March. Take care, friends. Thanks for coming along for the ride, travelers. If you're enjoying the show, please share, like, or leave a review wherever you listen to your podcast. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram, or come join me over on Patreon, where you'll get show updates and have early access to new episodes every Thursday. You can also find me on Buy Me a Coffee. If you have ideas for the show or would like to say hello, you can email me at spiritualroutespodcast@gmail.com. Please keep sharing the show so we can keep finding our spiritual roots together.